Hey there coworkers, it's Haz here, and today we'll discuss something exciting, the all-new special in Splatoon 3, the Reef Slider, and its uses in Salmon Run, but especially on the stage of Gone Fish and Hydroplant with the coming of the second Eggstra Work, so grab your ink tanks and let's jump right in. The REEFSLIDER Special is a new look at the previous Splashdown special we had in Splatoon 2, but with its added mobility. The first impression most have is that in general the Reef Slider isn't as useful in Salmon Run due to its quirks, like that the explosion itself is blocked very easily, and so the Reef Slider requires good timing and precision to have the same results as other specials can have without any effort. But this video isn't about which special is the best, but to show how useful the Reef Slider can also be, and also showcase some really neat tricks on Gone Fish and Hydroplant that you can use in your shifts or even on Eggstra Work if it will be one of the specials, because it does have a few. The most basic use of Reef Slider is to simply ride into the middle of a hectic scene and have everything explode with ink. We all know this easy tack, and the Reef Slider is really good at clearing space around the basket, for example, when it's just full of salmonids, lessers and bosses alike, or just get past a line of steel eels and slaminids to splat them from behind. What's important to know about the Reef Slider is that it deals damage in two forms. First, its shark form deals 400 damage to everything it passes through, and then it has its explosion, which is 700 damage. So for instance, the 400 damage slide is not enough to splat a large majority of the bosses, but the 700 damage explosion on the other hand can deal some real damage to them, which is something you should pre-plan when using the Reef Slider. The first most obvious example here are steelheads. So if you ever plan on using Reef Slider against steelheads, you should always look for their animation first to make sure you'll explode near them when their bomb is up, so that you aren't wasting a special. The Reef Slider shark does pierce through armor, but that's only 400 damage and is sadly not enough to splat the 1000 health an armored steelhead has, so you still have to look out for that bomb window. Reef Slider explosion is also blocked by scrapper shields and steel eel shields, so be careful when using it against them. Personally, one of my favorite ways of using a Reef Slider isn't necessarily to clear a certain area full of salmonids, but to get to a shore full of golden eggs, spend all my ink on recovering as many of those eggs as possible, and as I know I'm getting surrounded, Reef Slider back into safety through all the lessers and return to my team at the center of the stage, this way acquiring a lot of eggs I normally couldn't, while also not risking getting splatted. So Reef Slider can also be an incredibly useful mobility tool this way. Another neat trick you can do with the Reef Slider is getting rid of slaminids. Ever since the patch that introduced longer invulnerability window for Reef Slider, you can now use the special to easily splat slaminids clogging pathways. Slide straight into multiple slaminids in a bad area without a worry, and as they will slam down, you won't get damaged at all. In fact, you can just press the jump button straight after, and you'll find yourself on top of a slaminid, ready to clear a pathway, let's say a bridge on low-tide Hydroplant. Now the coolest and best part about Gone Fish and Hydroplant, on the other hand, is the ability it gives Reef Slider to be infinitely more useful than it normally is. You see, Hydroplant is famous for its walls and platforms, allowing us to maneuver around safely and splat salmonids from above. But that's not all. The walls of Hydroplant also cause flyfish to position themselves in the same height roughly as we are, which enables a special use for Reef Sliders to splat flyfish. You are probably familiar with the splat bomb trick by now that lets players throw a bomb at the edge of a platform, and if the flyfish is close and below the edge, the explosion will blow up both ink tanks. The Reef Slider tech is pretty much the same in essence, except with a larger explosion radius, making it much easier to perform, that can splat multiple flyfish even if the conditions are all met. It's a super fun and cool trick that I can't recommend enough to practice and learn, as it can be really useful on all stages even. Lastly, if we are at flyfish, I briefly mentioned the Reef Slider has piercing attribute with its shark, correct? Since the shark itself deals 400 damage and pierces, it has a special use in worst case scenario to aim directly at the cockpit of a flyfish that is too far away to use your normal explosion trick or any other circumstances, and slide through them as best as you can, as the flyfish cockpit only has 350 health and your slide will splat it as you go through, and you still have your explosion to use at the very end against everything else if needed on the shore. It is also super fun but quite last resort option for the reef slider, but once again a super neat trick that can be used the most efficiently on Gonefish and Hydroplant, thanks to the walls giving you good positioning most of the time. So those are some awesome tricks to practice and use with the reef slider, especially on Gonefish and Hydroplant, to unleash madness upon those nasty salmonids. If you have any further tips for the reef slider, make sure to leave them below this video to help others, and if you liked the video, also subscribe to stay tuned for all further guides in the future. Thank you for watching everyone, hope you enjoyed this video, have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll see you all the next time.